I edited and self-published my first book. It's on Amazon titled Fixing Your Tiara, Finding You in Him. Over the last few years, I've realized that it is a change. So all of my books moving forward will be Fixing Your Tiara subtitled. So as I mentioned before, my business is Restoration Catalyst. And if anybody doesn't know the word catalyst, it means to be an agent of change. For the easy example, Coke, Mentos, it evokes a change. So one thing that I'm big on is building a culture of honesty. And to me, nothing else gets to the bottom of a situation or the solution to a situation like being honest with yourself, even if it's dealing with yourself. So I'll just slide right into this. I have, does anybody know the word alliteration?
To break down.
Break it down.
So it's DD. You see how it kind of RR. It's when all of the words together have like the same starting word or letter. So it kind of has like a rhyming effect, but it's not rhymes necessarily. So it seemed like an easy way to present this idea, expanding on respond and react, to deal with dilemmas. I like that. As it says on your sheet, reacting is emotional. And there's an L word for responding. So the opposite of emotional, easy, logical. And one thing that a lot of people will often say, women are emotional, men are logical. There's a balance. Women are more emotional, men are more logical. It's what's your default, your first starting point. And the acronym here, to deal with dilemmas, you need a SIP. You're not gonna guess what it stands for. But how often do you feel like sometimes you just need to step out and get a cool soda, a nice fresh water, sometimes even just to eat. It gives you like the refresher, the something to calm you down. Even if you're occupied, having a beverage or over a snack, it helps to just ease the tensions. Nobody can really argue too much with their mouths full. So, as it actually was mentioned on your sheet, self-awareness. SIP is for self-knowledge, information gathering, and perspective. You need self-knowledge. So one thing that I expand on with my platform is to know thyself. It's just a fancy way to say know yourself. To know thyself, it takes time. It takes time, as with many different situations. In an instantaneous fight, as it was mentioned earlier, you could have a few seconds to make a decision that can have such a huge impact. But some situations, like dealing with an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, or in different cases, if you share a child with someone, those situations can take months and years. But those still have choices in between. And I like earlier that it was mentioned the word war. A war is a series of battles, multiple stages and phases and choices and discussions. And so one situation that I will expand on in a couple of minutes, I went through a situation where there were definite, reactions, responses, and the way that I was explaining it to the person is that this is a war. So even if I have to be the one that looks like, oh, why are you doing this, why are you doing that? I knew that, as a couple of people have said already, that I was thinking about everything. I was thinking about this person's relative, their grandparent, all of the factors, the now, the other person, the later. So having self-awareness for me included knowing that whether I do or don't have fighting experience, I don't know that person's fighting experience. There are things that you can know and things that you don't know, which is why I also include information gathering. Because sometimes you just don't know right away, but then as you gain information, you can have that mixed with what you know about yourself. Am I an emotional person? Do I have mental health issues? Am I going through a little bit of anxiety and depression? Am I a hot fuse? So all of these different factors just help you get to check with yourself. And so perspective, that's something that I have a series on my Instagram, Restoration Catalyst, and I say fix your perspective. And that acronym is actually to face, internalize, correct, and soothe your perspective. So again, with building a culture of honesty, to face it. Sometimes people will easily hit that. I don't care, yo, that don't even faze me, it don't even matter. All of the bravado, like, trying to act tough, and a lot of what was mentioned earlier about anger being secondary, sometimes it starts with fear or sadness. Even if somebody startles you, that initial wanting to fight, it happens so fast because really that feeling of fear or sadness makes us feel vulnerable and weak. And so to bounce off of that or to fight that feeling of being weak, anger makes us feel strong. Anger makes us feel like fire versus water. And so instead of wanting to feel the water of tears and, oh my gosh, the anger makes us feel like, okay, hold up, hold. So again, with the self-knowledge, if you know yourself, and that takes time, you're always getting to know yourself. Until we die, we'll continue to get to know ourselves.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you speak about ego in your book? Like spiritually, like
I
elevated chakras?
use the word soul.
So,
Soul, S-O-U-L. Actually, so a word that I made up, solution, S-O-U-L, your solution. And as a solutionist, the soul is your mind, your heart, and your will, or your emotions, your thoughts, and your determination factor. What will you do? That's the decision. That's the I'm going to so and so. And so your soul is always active. It's always you versus you. It's always you versus you. Whether you have God or if you just listen to your friends, some people don't have a faith. But at the end of the day, your ego or your pride, when you are in control of yourself, that also includes the taking time and different different situations have a various amount of time. Again, sometimes you might have seconds, or you can have weeks, or you can have years. And to fix your perspective, you face it. And that includes acknowledging what it was. Tell them, like, look, this happened, they said this, just call out the facts as they are. Internalize. To internalize is to let it be personal. You don't have to, it depends on if you are one of one. Sometimes you only have you to talk to. Sometimes you have like that one or two people that you can, keep it really open and exposed with. But to internalize it is to get as genuine and truthful as possible. Yes, this hurt me. Yes, that broke my heart. Yes, that pissed me off. And for those who pray, allow God to have that time when you cussing and you letting it all out and you're ripping your soul open, because if you're not honest with yourself, if you don't let it get personal, then you're not going to be able to fix what you don't fix and to correct it. That's where the word perspective is emphasized, because I know a lot of you have heard the phrase, his story, her story, and then the truth. I say that it's all the story. There is no verses, because everybody in here is looking at this moment from a different perspective. No one is living from another person's eyes. So you correct it by having the time to take a second. I saw it this way. How did they see it that way? Or maybe I was a part of the reason why they blew up, but I wasn't the only reason why they blew up, or vice versa. Maybe they said that, and it affected me this way, but I also dealt with this 3 hours before that, and I also have this to do with tomorrow. So when you correct your perspective, you're able to gain information about all of the things that might be happening and to soothe it. At the end of the day, we all want to feel better. We just want to not feel angry. We want to not feel hurt and betrayed and pissed. So to fix your perspective, it is acknowledging the feelings and the facts. But in those situations when we need to respond instead of react, we have to put the facts over our feelings. So it all comes together. It's kind of a circle more than a line. So to deal with dilemmas, I'll write it out. Does anybody remember what I said? The S's?
Solution.
I just say that word. I just say that word. Self-knowledge.
Information gathering and perspective. Fixing perspective.
Okay. Teamwork.
Makes the dream work.
Self-knowledge, information.
Stop trying to be in her video like that.
Stop trying to copy, please. Let the video you be walking in.
That's all right. I ain't gonna name drop unless you want it.
Singers.
Self-knowledge, information gathering, and perspective. I just want to put that word by itself because there are so many perspectives.
give you perspective. Pause. Let me say
You'll
that
always
again.
need to
You know
gain
what? I
perspective.
said that wrong.
It really did. I heard it. I'm like,
Don't say it.
You'll always need to gain
You
perspective.
ain't hear nothing.
Your enemy's perspective. Honestly, when you think about everything from every perspective, that is how you win a war. Even if it's a war within yourself, because you're thinking, like it was mentioned earlier, chess. So when you're thinking of a chess game or your opponent, you're putting yourself in that other person's shoes too, because if you could figure out what they're thinking, then you know how to counteract it. You get all of the different perspectives. So I have learned over the last, let's say 4 years, give or take, in my faith, I pray. I started by saying, God, I want the know what, the know how, and to get done. In other words, the certainty, the clarity, and the commitment. God, I want to be certain, Lord, talk to yourself. You want to be certain about what to do. Just sometimes you just need to figure out what to do. What are your options? I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. Run it down. How does it happen? How long does it take? What are the steps? What can happen after? The clarity, the details, how to do this. Who do I got to talk to? The numbers. How long will it take? And the commitment. Drive it home. Get it done. It could take a few weeks. It could take a few years. And sometimes you have no clue. But it's okay to not know. It's okay to not know.